Into some college football here with Bill Bender, editor and writer, columnist, Sporting News. Been there for 13 years now, I think, and been on our show a few times. Bill, appreciate you joining us and your opinions and your expertise. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. So we mentioned it in the last hour. You picked Arkansas last in the SEC West this year, behind Mississippi State. Of course, the writers or the media in the SEC Media Days have Arkansas picked sixth. And we're all here hoping and frankly, I think expecting an improved team from 2020. I don't know if that necessarily plays its way into more conference wins. Maybe you see it the other way around. Why do you have Arkansas picked last in the SEC West this year?
Well, I mean, for starters, it's the hardest division in college football. I mean, when you have five teams ranked and you kind of flip a coin. I mean, yeah, they could beat Mississippi State, finish sixth, but look at the five ahead of them. I mean, it's a tough go. And, you know, Sam Pittman did a great job last year in reversing the culture. I think he's going to go a long way in making Fayetteville a place where recruits want to go, but it's just hard in that. I mean, if they were in the East, it'd be a little bit easier.
Yeah, I guess it would. Is there something, though, because, I mean, we're talking about the bottom of the SEC West, of course. Mississippi State, Arkansas, everybody pretty much looks at them as the potentially and probably the bottom two in the league. Was there anything out of Mississippi State that you saw that you're thinking, well, maybe they belong better or ahead of Arkansas? In my mind, you're probably picking, you might look at the schedule and say Mississippi State wins in Fayetteville on November the 6th.
Yeah, it's kind of a coin flip, honestly. I mean, Mississippi State should show some improvement, too, and Mike Leach is second year in the system. They have a style of play where they can score a lot of points. I mean, now they're going to have to make some adjustments after what was a rough year last year as well. So, I mean, yeah, both of them, we'll see. I mean, I think, again, it just comes down to when you rank that division and you have – it was Ole Miss ranked yesterday. I can't remember. But I know we at Sporting News in our preseason top 25 had 5 SEC West teams ranked, including Auburn. And I guess Auburn's another one that we're going to have to wait and see what it looks like with Brian Harsin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are definitely going to have to wait and see because I'm not as high on them as I think a lot of people. I think it's going to be a pretty dull year on the Plains for Auburn, but I know how the SEC world has really reacted to the news of the Big Ten, Pac12, and ACC scheduling alliance, or however far they want to take this alliance. How has it been received in Big Ten country where you are?
Well, I mean, the SEC just made the boldest move, right? They got the 2 big prizes in realignment, and now everybody's got to be careful. I still think the next move is we figure out where the Big 12 goes. Do they stay with 8 teams? Do they try to build build off of the American Athletic Conference? Do they merge with the Pac12? I mean, all of these things are out on the table now, and it was, of all the crazy things that have happened in this college football offseason, in my opinion, and there's no question that the craziest thing is the fact that Oklahoma and Texas are going to be playing in the SEC soon.
Bill, let me ask that question about these 3 leagues in a different way. Maybe not necessarily how it's being received, but why does the Big Ten, or why don't they, need the Pac-12 and the ACC? Because it feels to me like it's a league that stands on its own fairly well. So why does the Big Ten need Pac-12 and ACC at all?
Well, I mean, the SEC just became a $1 billion conference, and what's to stop them from going for more? Right? Like, if we have this kind of Super League movement that I think could happen, and what's to stop them from going after a Florida State or a Clemson or a Miami and creating this super Southern League that would just do so much money? So I think it forces a little bit of that thought process. How was it received? I think initially there was panic, and then now it's like, well, what is the move? And sometimes there isn't a move there. I mean, like, adding Kansas and Iowa State isn't going to do it, so to speak, for Big Ten football fans.
No, it's not. I mean, while Matt Campbell's got a good program going, historically Iowa State's no world beater, and we know what you're getting out on the football side with Kansas. So with everything you just talked about, with the SEC making these power moves, How much longer do you think we exist under the NCAA umbrella?
Well, that's the big question. I think that's a more interesting question because, right, like NIL's not really being regulated.
No.
I mean, I know there are guys out there that have not taken a college football snap, allegedly making up to 7 figures in endorsements, which to me is just crazy because there are NFL backup quarterbacks that might not make that kind of money. That you're kind of sifting through the TV watching a preseason game. It's really changed. I think that is the thing that more so than I think TV deals or realignment that could really tear at the sport because the biggest question comes everybody says this is going to ruin college football. Well, this is going to be the thing that ruins college football. It's not going to ruin college football until the casual viewer tunes out. And I don't know what the breaking point for that is because other sports, pro sports, have gone through this.
It turns into what it turns into the product on the field more than anything else. And it seems the college game continues to get better and better and more refined. And so, I don't think that the viewing habits of fans will necessarily change all that much. If the things going off the field change a little bit, does that necessarily change the product on the field? And that's really what this is all about for fans. They just want to watch exciting football, and you get that here in the SEC on a pretty consistent basis.
But the counter to that right now is the product on the field fair, right? Like, we're watching the same 5 teams go to the playoff. You know, yesterday, the AP Top 25, I could have typed in the 5 teams. Now the order changed a little bit. We all knew who the top 5 was going to be. And how long is Clemson going to dominate the ACC? How long is Ohio State going to dominate the Big Ten? You know, Alabama, the SEC, yeah, it's the most competitive conference, but most of the years it still begins and ends with Alabama. So I think that's something that has worn on the sport a little bit. Maybe the 12-team playoff will change that. Maybe NIL will change that, and we're going to see where it goes. But I think that's the real problem with the sport right now is I'm going into a season thinking I should be super excited, and I am, don't get me wrong, but it's like going into a movie that you love and you know the ending already.
Yeah, it does, because while we like to dream, we like to see the different stories that come out of the season. They could possibly be a contender, you know, sitting there at week 6 or 7. We ultimately know that it's going to come down to Bama, Ohio State, and Clemson. And it's just the fact of college football where we are today. And, Bill, I've been enjoying reading all the stuff you and Mike DeCourcy have been putting out about the upcoming season on the sporting news. But one question I know you all touched about easiest quarterback transition for some of these top 5 programs. Which one do you see is going to be the hardest?
I think Notre Dame. I mean, Ian Book, all the criticism he took, he's a pretty good quarterback at Notre Dame. You know, he had won a lot of games, very efficient, went to the playoff twice. And now you got a Wisconsin transfer who's going to see Wisconsin this season. There's some irony to that. I think it makes it an interesting thing. But I think that's one of those high-pressure jobs, man. Like, when you're Notre Dame's quarterback, and I still feel that way about the program, you're under a lot of scrutiny. And I think that's the one that we'll be watching pretty closely early in the season because they have a tough schedule.
I think you described Texas, too, right there with some of those descriptions of what it's like to be at Notre Dame. And, you know, Steve Sarkisian gets this next shot as a head coach, was the top assistant in college football last year and great play caller. I'm reading things that you've put on Sporting News. It seems you're feeling pretty good about Texas coming into the season. Hogs get him on September the 11th. Maybe the best running back in the nation in Bijan Robinson. Interesting quarterback battle, Hudson Card, Casey Thompson. I don't want to put you on for asking for a prediction or anything, but it would seem to me you're expecting Arkansas is going to have their hands full September 11th in Fayetteville.
Well, at least they're playing, though. That's fun.
Yeah,
I mean, that's always a fun game. It brings up, I'm sure it kindles a lot of memories for you guys down there. And Bijan Robinson's pretty special. I mean, anytime I see a running back who's managed, he didn't carry it a ton last year, but he still averaged 8.2 yards per carry. Anytime that number climbs above like 7, and Travis Etienne was like that for a while, I'm like, man, that guy's going to just be awesome. So I think he's one to watch. I mean, they obviously have a big quarterback decision to make. Sarkisian's already said it's one of the toughest decisions he's going to have to make. I'm anticipating it'll probably be Hudson Card. But like their offense, like And Texas is one of those jobs you shouldn't ever be bad, and it's kind of weird that they've been off the radar in terms of a true college football playoff contender for quite a while.
Bill, it's great having you on, man. Hopefully we can get you on maybe halfway through the season, get your thoughts on what you've seen, what you think you might see, but we'll definitely be reading you at Sporting News. You do great work.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of summer, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I guess summer's over. My kids are in school, so it's all business now, right? So
Yeah,
thanks so much.
Summer's over when it's freshman orientation here in Fayetteville, and guess what? Summer's over and the traffic sucks.
Thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We're brought to you by Crabtree RV Center in Alma. Crabtree RV is a dealership serving the River Valley in northwest Arkansas for over 70 years, and they're located on 17 acres with a 26,000-foot showroom floor, conveniently located at the junction of I-40 and I-49 in Alma, right beside the Cracker Barrel. Crabtree RV Center gives each family the best experience, starting from choosing the right RV for your adventures to the service and parts department, plus everything needed in between. Crabtree RV makes your family's dreams come true for 70 years and 4 generations. CrabtreeRV.com.
You know, the start of the season is just around the corner, and if you're into sports betting, Bet Online is where you should go to win some money today. Whether it's live bets during games or future bets on who you think will win the championship, Bet Online has all the latest odds, news, and information for all your online sports betting needs. Visit the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So before the next big game or before the season starts, head on over to Bet Online and start playing today. That's Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts.